Welcome, everybody. We're still waiting for some people to connect in. But while we're waiting, you can go ahead and sign into eeds.com and sign in with the code 69RILY, which I'll show you on the next screen. Welcome today, 69PILY. Thank you. Wes, if you could go back 2 slides. Well, oops. Thank you. So welcome to Grand Rounds, everybody. Building emotional agility for successful conversations. This is a great topic, and we're so excited to have Wes Evans talk to us today, because we all have to talk to other people. We can't be alone in this world, so it comes in very handy. Some housekeeping items. We are recording today, and this will be archived on our website in the next couple of days. You should be able to rewatch it if you'd like, or send it to other people. You can see the website link on this page, and I believe Tanya's putting that into the chat box for your quick reference. We will have questions and comments at the end of the presentation, so please feel free to unmute at those times or type in your questions and comments. And then, as I said, please be sure to sign in for your CMEs on the sign-in code that will come on the next page. And we will be sending an evaluation out at the end of the session. Please send it back to us, because it really helps us plan these sessions. Next slide, please. So this is the code for the session, 69PILY. The code expires tomorrow at noon, so make sure you either text that code to 828-295-1144 or visit eeds.com, and make sure you fill out their evaluation, otherwise you will not get your CE credits. So Wes Evans has no relevant financial relationships to report with a commercial interest, and this activity is not commercially supported. So upcoming, we hope this is the start of a great series that Wes is doing for us. In a couple of weeks, we'll be doing approaching different communication styles, again with Wes, and the 2 weeks after that, we'll be doing structuring difficult conversations for mutually successful outcomes. So we're looking forward to both of those. Next slide, please. All right, so today we are going to be talking about how sometimes it can be difficult to speak up and remain confident and open and patient when your emotions are coming into play. And do you, thinking about our responses to what other people are saying in the conversation. So I'm going to let Wes take it away. He can introduce himself as well as the program. Take it away, Wes.
Great. Thank you, Tahina. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. My career has been spent around this topic and coaching and training with leaders. And personally, I come from a place where I grew up extremely conflict avoidant. And so this is a subject I've also wrestled with much of my life. What I came to know early on was that if I wanted to establish a true connection with someone else, then I needed to be willing to have difficult conversations with them. Respect and trust and empathy, they lie on the other side of difficult conversations. But, here's the reality, and let me admit somebody, there we go. This is the way that most of us feel. I mean, reports say that the population, nobody really wants to have these difficult conversations. It ties us up in knots on the inside. And so most of us avoid them whenever we can. And sometimes that's appropriate, but there's so much value to be found there. As a matter of fact, recent research from the Kaiser Foundation has said that in the workplace, the 3 elements that people report most commonly that are driving burnout and exhaustion in the workplace and in healthcare in particular are trust, transparency and psychological safety. So the lack of trust, the lack of transparency, and the lack of psychological safety is a is at the top of the list, driving burnout. So it's not just performance, although that's important. We have performance conversations. It's not just stress level, because these are stressful. And yet um, the need for these opportunities for us to really engage in these conversations is extreme, and there are a lot of good reasons for that. And finally, just having satisfying relationships really lies on the other side of healthy conflict, difficult conversations where we find ourselves working through things. So, in the interest of going that direction, let me share with you what I'd like for you to be feeling. Instead of all tied up in knots, I'm going to suggest that through a series of steps and the way we prepare ourselves, we can feel more like this or like this. There's a nod to the Olympics that are starting here very soon. My favorite one, more like this. Um, where we can actually find a sense of grace and confidence. And that really comes through the acquisition of skills and practice. And this series is all about those skills and starting to practice those. But it begins with us, how we position ourselves. And so that's where we're going to begin today. This is what I have discovered is the best way to manage difficult emotions, both in me and in others. Let me explain briefly why. This is what I call a virtuous circle, is when I'm faced with a challenging situation, if I can first go to a place of calm, that allows me then to be curious and compassionate and explore what's possible. And in that process, I can actually find confidence that I'm seeing things properly or that I'm engaging others in an effective way. That confidence gives me clarity, which then increases my calm and takes us in a very healthy, productive direction. It makes us more creative, more collaborative, and a lot less stress. But it all really begins at this place of calm. The nice thing about healthcare workers is that you're accustomed to finding calm in the midst of chaos. And so while we're right here in the midst of launching this, I would invite you to go to the chat box in your Zoom menu and share one or two words that describe how you move toward calm when situations start to escalate. What does that look like? Is that like to meditate? Is it to breathe? Is it to exercise? Is it to stretch? Is it to walk away and re-engage? Or maybe it's something that you do at home where there's a study or a practice or exercise. There's all kinds of options. And so if you'd start populating the chat box with those, then I'll make just a couple more comments about this. I really do believe that calm is the key. The ability to take our mind to a place where we can see through the fog of emotions is the first step in really equipping us to be able to make wise choices and wise responses when people surprise us with comments that seem challenging or threatening or just confrontive in any aspect of that. What I'd also suggest is that curiosity comes next. But let me check in. Tahina, are you seeing many entries in the chat box about how people typically go to calm?
Yeah, we have a couple of breathes, and we have remove from situation, and we have try to not speak and observe calmly.
I like it. I like it. All excellent ones. So I'm going to admit Carly into the room here. So let me show you an illustration that I think best describes what often happens when these emotions become a little bit too much for us and they start driving our assumptions, our beliefs, and our behaviors inappropriately. And this was about 40 or 50 years ago. Chris Argyris developed this description, what he calls the ladder of inference. And it starts with what was observable, what actually happened. If I had a video recorder on my phone, what would I have recorded? So it's not about interpretation, it's about what actually happened. The issue is, though, as a human being, my brain is wired to select certain data. I can't take in everything. I look for what's important to pay attention to. So I do that. And based upon what I choose to pay attention to, I start making stuff up. Our brains abhor a vacuum. So we're going to fill in the story, and we do it instantaneously. I make assumptions, I draw conclusions about what it means. Is it safe for me, or is it dangerous? Is it helpful, or is it not relevant? Based upon those assumptions and conclusions, I start adopting beliefs based on all that. That becomes what I believe to be true, what I believe actually happened, and the meaning behind it. I saw it, I believe it. The problem is those beliefs now are filtering what I see going forward, what I pay attention to. And it puts me in this blindness loop where I can't see things that contradict what I've already created in my mind. This, I heard this described several decades ago at Duke University, doing some research on people with very high intellects. And the statement that they made was people with very bright minds have the ability to create a reality in their own mind that is unassailable with new facts or information. That's what the ladder of inference is all about. So in healthcare, we're dealing with very bright people. So it's no surprise that we each have our perspective and we genuinely believe that we're right. And the problem is, though, then we start to begin acting on these beliefs that we believe we're convinced are true, but they may be based on some incorrect assumptions or partial information. The question is, how do we get out of this doom loop? So it starts with awareness, being aware that I am subject to this just as all other humans are. So I start from awareness, moving back to the facts, reviewing what really is true for certain. And then um, the next step then is to choose to suspend judgments, to stick with what is observable, and to move to a place of compassionate curiosity. Now, it sounds real easy for me to say those, but this is where the real challenge lies. Awareness opens the door. Returning to the facts sets me up to make this happen. But here I'm faced with a choice. Suspending judgment, sticking with what was observable. I suggest this is where you connect with your personal values. If your values are that I respect all people, I value all people, I want to be compassionate toward all people, I want to deal with fairness and justness, and then my choice is in this moment, rather than allowing myself to rush to judgment and assume that I have it all, I'm going to choose to suspend judgments, no matter how right I think I am. And the other part about moving to compassionate curiosity, again, that sounds easy, but we usually need a little bit of help with that. And so, what I'm going to suggest is that curiosity is the lever, and I think maybe the only lever, strong enough to pry open my preconceptions and my prejudices and my biases and the feelings that I have. I suggest it's the only lever strong enough to really neutralize strong emotions. Because I can't, honestly, I cannot try, based upon all my experience, I cannot try and successfully move from being really upset to suddenly being really calm and compassionate. I just can't do it. What I can do is move from being upset to becoming curious, letting that neutralize those emotions gives me the pause, the break in that chain to then begin to ask myself questions and say, so what do I really want? And what assumptions am I making? What am I missing or avoiding? What are my choices? As I start asking myself these questions, I feel the energy of those emotions draining. And now they're being channeled in helpful ways of curiosity, especially when I layer on a commitment to compassion on this. And what I mean is compassion toward myself, that I am okay. I do have the capacity to make sense of this situation enough to engage with others and to move forward and to be capable to deal with this situation. Asking what others may feel or think or need or want. Asking honestly, what am I really responsible for here? Maybe I need to own something, or maybe I need to let go of something. How can I make this a win-win is a strong one, but I put in green my favorite one. What is possible? Honestly, if I'm really upset, I can't go there right away. I have to work through some of these questions and sometimes allow a great deal of time to go by. But if I can get to the point where I'm really feeling what is possible, not necessarily likely, but what's possible, that is the place where I know I'm really ready to engage in a serious conversation with this. So I'm going to ask you to contribute one more time. As you look at this list of questions, you know, about using compassionate curiosity with yourself to try to put yourself in a good place emotionally and manage those unhelpful emotions. Which of those questions do you suspect might be most helpful to you? And maybe you want to choose two, but everybody has their favorites that trigger helpful directions in their thinking. So type one or two numbers in the chat box, and I'll give you a moment to do that. Which one of these questions do you think might really help pry open those preconceptions or bring down the intensity of your emotions long enough to do that? The neat thing is, just like we have muscle memory, our brains love patterns and routines. So if I find ways to practice moving to calm or questions that I like to rehearse to take me there, if I can practice those on a regular basis, when I need them in a crisis, they'll be there. I can do that and it'll take me there quickly. Tahina, are you seeing much of a consensus or are they all over the map? Oh, and you're on mute.
Sorry, I was muted.
Okay, that's okay. Great.
I see a couple of threes, 7, an 8. People like that one.
Yep.
2, 8. People like 8 a lot. What is possible?
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Let's see. Someone asked, what may others think, feel, want, and what am I responsible for?
Great. Great. I love it. You know, the key is there is no magic with these questions. There's finding those that we connect with. And in extreme cases, I need all of them because when I start answering, what outcome do I want? I want to win. You know, that's my natural response. And it just takes time. Our minds move at the speed of technology. Our emotions are more like the speed of agriculture. And yeah, they can change on a dime, but our attitudes and our perspectives, when we really are in the midst of owning them, it takes a process. And this is what helps that process along. So let's kind of do a quick summary here, because what I really want you to take away from this session is not necessarily the ladder of inference, but these simple 4 words that all start with C, that this virtuous circle that can take us upward. If you walk away with nothing else but think calm, curious, confident, and clear, you're going to walk away with something of value.
One person asked, can I start with 8 and then go back and ask what may I be missing or avoiding?
Yes, excellent, excellent. I love it. Engaging with questions, the curiosity component. Now that we've dealt with our own emotions, let's just do a quick nod to the fact that if I am owning a place of compassionate curiosity, if I'm committed to holding that emotional space, I can become the emotional tuning fork for the other party or parties. Humans mimic emotions. Emotions are incredibly contagious. And whoever is committed to that emotion strong enough is likely to be the one that attracts others to them. So it takes commitment. And then once you have that commitment to enter into that conversation, realizing I'm going to let go of the fear of not knowing where this conversation is going. I don't have to have control. I don't have to have knowledge, because what I bring to this is my disposition, my compassion, my curiosity. I don't have to have answers yet. I can also choose to invest the needed time. Because this is emotional, it may go longer than I expected. If I'm scheduling a conversation, I need to schedule enough time. Or if I'm in the midst of one in the moment, I need to figure out how I can make time to make this real in this moment. Focusing on honoring the other person not only sets our demeanor, but it also sets us free of worrying about ourselves. Let's focus this as a gift on other persons. And then finally, or the next one, to ask inviting good questions. Tell me more. It's an excellent question. It's not the length of the question or the complexity, it's the intent. What you're wanting to do is let them speak, to let them be heard, because our goal is to hear what they feel, not the details. I don't have to clarify all of the details in most situations. What I really want, what I'm really searching for, is tell me how you're feeling about this. Because at a human level, we all have feelings in common, and then we can connect, and then we can build back toward the details. That really is contingent upon creating an atmosphere of permission. And again, much of that is my demeanor. As long as I'm holding this space, of compassionate curiosity, then this will be natural. But refraining from judgment, not being in a hurry, all of these things create this atmosphere of permission. So, in summary, as we start to bring this to a conclusion, calm brings perspective. That is incredibly empowering. It also allows us to be more courageous because we can then move. We know where to go. We're going to compassionate curiosity. We're not wondering what our next step is. My goal is to now build bridges and open possibilities. And I'm going to do that by putting my own emotions aside and focusing on being compassionate and curious to build those connections. The next step in that then is confidence. That's really not something I do as much as something that results. It just flows from the confidence that I have that you and I have worked together. We may not have the best solution, but we've got the best one for now because we've worked on it together and we've made the best choices we can given the information and the opportunity we have. That brings clarity, and lack of clarity in communication and relationships. We're talking about medical errors and misunderstandings and a sense of satisfaction. There's so many benefits from clarity. We're all trying to be clear in our communication and in our own purpose. So clarity is really knowing and speaking from this place of confidence, which increases calm. And so you can see that there's no magic in any of these, but it's this direction that I'm moving and being willing to remember calm, curious, confident, and clear in that process. So I'm looking at the clock and let's see. Tahina, Tanya, are we in a position where we could do a really quick breakout session?
Yes.
Then let's randomly send them out into groups of 2 or 3.
Oh. Oh.
Everyone's been randomly assigned to 2 or 3. I'm going to move.
I think Wes is here. Take a moment
And then
to talk briefly about our communication.
Peter Hurst is not joined.
Okay, I think we broke them out too quickly and they didn't have an assignment.
An assignment?
Yeah.
We can broadcast the message to all.
I just sent one.
Okay. Sorry. Do you want to bring him back?
Wes. Can't hear Wes. What? Wes?
You're muted.
What do you think?
Okay. Would you want to bring him back?
Okay. You know what, Wes?
Yep.
We couldn't hear you. You were muted.
Okay.
So,
can you hear me okay?
No.
yeah, we kind of, I hope people know what we do.
Let's hear what. Let's just give it another minute, and then we'll bring them back. And I'll apologize for jumping into the break room without making clear instructions. And
Sorry.
that's all right. We're figuring this out. So, but if they're in the break rooms, we might let them do that for another minute, and then
They're probably wondering
yeah.
what we have to do.
Well, let's just go ahead and jump on it. Let's just go ahead and bring them back.
Bring it
Okay.
back.
We'll make apologies. We'll wrap it up strong here. I'll make it an assignment.
Yeah. Okay, bring them back. Close all the rooms.
Why is it 60 seconds?
Oh, once you trigger it,
It gives you another minute.
Yeah, that's okay. And then I'll still save the last couple of minutes for you to make any closing requests. All right.
Are we back?
I can't tell if everybody's back or not.
I don't think so.
Okay,
Starting to come back.
great. If you want to give me a heads up when you see that that's good, then I'll wrap it up here.
Okay. Is everybody back?
Yes.
Great. Welcome back, everybody. So my apology, we launched that a little quick there, trying to make good use of our time. But let me just make that for you as an assignment going forward. Think of a time when you've discovered that you've climbed up the ladder of inference about
Wait,
something.
we're missing a few people.
All right.
Can you?
Hey Wes, I kind of wish we had a few more minutes because Caroline, my partner, was in the middle of a sentence when she was pulled back.
You know what we might do is we might roll this into the next session and connect the two with an activity at the beginning. So
Yeah, because I really wanted to hear what she had to say, you know.
well, there's your assignment. Reconnect with Kylie offline.
Okay.
I want to honor everyone's time, so
Yeah.
we'll just move on through. The point of this is when you have a chance to share this with someone else, it makes it more real in our minds and it rehearses it again. It gives us the opportunity to think forward and to plan to do differently. So in summary, really what we're trying to do is create emotional agility. We're just trying to manage our emotions so that we can do what we really want to do, to connect with others and to give them a connection with us. It's not that complicated. We'll look at more aspects in the weeks to come, but it really starts with just managing our own emotions so that we can be calm and curious and confident and clear. And the next time, the 5 approaches to conflict, once I'm in the right place, how is the best way for me to approach this situation? Because there are some options, not just our default. So is there, Tahina, I'll turn it over to you. Do you want to invite people to put a room?
Yeah, you know what? I'd love to hear any questions for
We're
Wes.
missing some people. The participants went down from 22 to 24. I don't know if they're coming back though.
Well, then we must have done something not right. Trying to figure out how to get
To
everybody.
20 to 14. Okay. The room is open. They can read it.
Great, great. So
Okay, any questions? And you can put questions in the chat room, and I can read off any questions. Or feel free to unmute yourself. We'd love to hear you.
that's great.
Something, okay, great. Can everybody put one word in the chat box, what they felt like they learned today or enlightened, or how they feel about this, about the subject today? Okay, appreciative.
It's a good place to start right there.
Appreciative of these short courses. That's great. Any other thoughts? I would say for myself, I appreciate that I need to take a moment when I'm listening to somebody and starting to feel anxious, that it's not about me. I should just let that person talk and listen.
Great.
Yeah. All right, great. So reminder everybody that the CME code is 69PILY, and you have till tomorrow to fill it out. And we will see you in 2 weeks. So next slide, please.
Sounds great.
Have a great rest of the day, guys. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.